Let's continue the maamar. Rather pick up the maamar, go back to the beginning of this Gimel, and we'll get the flow of things.
Can you please give us a brief summary before you start? Brief.
Yeah, what's again now is the shaila was why Purim isn't established in some part to acknowledge that the holding in of Purim is the Gili of the Mesiras Nefesh of Yidden, whereas Purim is established. Purim, in fact, is established after they defeated them completely. And the whole revelation is because of the Mesiras Nefesh, and that's not, it seemed, acknowledged in the actual Yemei Purim. So to understand this, he went into all arichas of just the mitzvahs that Yidden were commanded to three mitzvahs when they entered at Yisrael, and that is to establish a melech, destroy Amalek, and to build the Beis HaMikdash, and in that order. And that's how it was, Bepel, historically. Then he says that this is also Ba'avedis Adam. So Ba'avedis Adam, so going into Eretz Yisrael is the Ratzin. Loma Nikra Eretz Sheratzis Salasis Ritzayin Koina. But even prior to that, before you even can go into the Ratzin, is Yitzias Mitzrayim. And Yitzias Mitzrayim, of course, has an intrinsic connection to Purim, which is why Purim is not a Sheni. So here's the Seder Advarim now. Yitzias Mitzrayim, the Ratzin, and then the Avodah of Lahamid Melech, Amalek, and Beis HaMikdash. So that is where we're up to. Tzarich lahavin. Didn't go into the pratim in Avodah what it is yet. Just said that they exist in Avodah. Yeah, the volume is good. Guys, just double checking. Checked out.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good. Okay.
We hear you drink the coffee nicely.
He's slurping the coffee.
Yeah.
Okay, just what's coming in this ice is, when I learned it on Friday, I hadn't read further, we're learning it together, I hadn't learned it. So it's just useful to know what's coming. The good of this entire ice right now is that we speak about Gan Eden in a particular Olam. It's Gan Eden Elyon, Gan Eden Atachten. Gan Eden Elyon is in Olam Abriya. Gan Eden Atachten is in Olam HaYitziyah. So Torah Olam is that it's one and the same thing. Obviously, Gan Eden and Olam Abriya, it's not. They're two separate, not just dargis, but two separate experiences. He doesn't use these words, but one is a Pnimis Dikir one is a Chesenis Dikir one. That's what Eis Gimel is. And we'll see from there where that's going. But that's the Nakud of Eis Gimel. Let's see inside now. He just finished saying that Yitzias Mitzrayim begins, the fact that we're born, previous Nakud of the last Nakud of the previous ice was, as we said, that before the whole Avodah of entering at Yisrael can begin is Yitzias Mitzrayim. Yitzias Mitzrayim begins by virtue of the fact that the Neshama is thrust into a goof. So from the get-go, we're trying to break out of constraints. So the shaila is ma calling Yidis Neshama lamata. So what's the whole lineage? Therefore, we have to have Yitzias Mitzrayim. So it's explained. It's all for an aliyah. Aliyah be'ofen shaneshama magas l'mayli yoysim ha'malkim mishabayis ha'kodim ha'yedida. Yedida to a level where the neshama is going to reach before, higher than it was before it descended. That even though the Mishnah says that one moment of Kodesh Ruach pleasure in Elam Haba is greater than all of the pleasures of this world, Still, yofa shachas b'tshuva ma'asim tovim be'lam hazim b'kol chayim haba. Better one moment of tshuva than all chayim haba. So pleasure more is there. Yofa, meaning true beauty, is here. So this is the diuk now, is chayi ha'olam haba. The diuk is going to be that through the avodah lamata of tshuva ma'asim tovim, that tshuva obviously means tshuva. So that's already implicit there, as you see, as Mitzrayim and all of the limitations and the pitfalls of the Yeridah of the neshama lamata. But through all of this, it's greater even than chaye ha'olam haba. So he wants to be medayik, and he will be explaining what is chaye ha'olam haba, which is high even the olam haba. So we want to appreciate what chaye ha'olam haba is, and then to understand that a mitzvah down here in the little iskafia is even greater. And it's going to be the diuk is chaye ha'olam haba. That chaye ha'olam haba is the pnimius of olam haba, namely Gan Eden. That's the overview of what's coming.
Is it similar to the Hayom Yom? Hecher is as mefirt mumayla. Tighter when you do it yourself.
Yeah.
Is that that's the
It's similar, yeah. Obviously, Ilam Haba and Chayil Haba is higher than this world, but Taira, and that's being a Gilim Bilamayla, same parallel, but more precious, on a very simple level. In Ilam Haba, nobody needs you. Nobody needs you. There's nothing to do, nothing to fix. It's a perfect world. In this world, you need it. And that's a world of apart. It's like on vacation. On vacation, you don't have to do anything, and all your needs are provided for, and it's fine for a while. How long can you be in Club Med? We haven't tried it, but presumably, after a while, it gets a little boring, because human being deep down wants to make a difference, wants to be needed, and you're not needed up there. That's the critical difference. So what's the up there? Let's appreciate what the up there is. It's Chai Ha'olam Haba. So let's understand. In the brackets, that Yafish Achas is even greater than the highest levels, which is that Chayim Haba goes on his highest level, Koi al Gan Eden Ha'elyon. Shu Amokim Shemenu Nilkachas and the Neshama, that's where the Neshama is taken from. Shazen Nema, and this the Mishnah says, Da Yishanoma Ayin Baso, from where you come. It's not just a statement without an address. In the statement is the address. So where do I come from? In the word Ma'ayin is the answer. Shemar kan neshama Ma'ayin. The neshama comes from a level of ayin. We call it ayin nothing because it's no thing. It's no thing that we can imagine it is. It's beyond all metzias, things. And what is that? Bechinas Gan Eden Elyon. That's Gan Eden Elyon. So Gan Eden Elyon, we're talking about all neshamas, not just neshamas of tzaddikim, neshamas tatzilus. All neshamas come from the pnimius of Elam Abriya, Gan Eden Elyon. That's Ma'ayin Basa. Bechinas Gan Eden Elyon to Gan Eden Elyon. All the on, and you should know where you're going. On means, so simple again is on atohilach, where you're going. This also teaches on means a place. You're going to a place of gvul, which begins with Gan Eden Atachten. The first descent is Gan Eden Atachten. Gan Eden Atachten is Elam Yitzira. And then it continues downhill from there. To this world. So the Mishnah said in the Bechinas Ma'ayin Basa, so this level of Ayin, Shezel Gan Eden Ha'elyon Nikra B'Shem Chai Ha'olam Haba, that is the Chai, the Pnimius of Olam Haba, like Olam Haba B'lvad, not just Tam Olam Haba. Ela Chayil Haba. What's the difference? We'll try not to slurp. Vinyan Bazem, you need to do it. Gan Eden Ve'Olam Haba, Shebenim Tzagan Eden Heim. Gan Eden Ve'Olam Haba, in which Gan Eden is found, is Loiba Yisei Darga. They are not in the same level. Kedah Satoyim. like we would assume, is actually incomparable. They're incomparable. I didn't look up Sefer HaSichos, but there's not too many Mekoides for this. Sefer HaSichos and Sefer HaMa'arim Tafrei Shayin Ches. It's interesting to see because Rebbe Rashab and Teresh Sholem is very interesting, very fascinating, very deep. Obviously, Giluyim there. Teresh Sholem is a Yesoid. If you have time, you should learn that too. I'm not saying you should, but it's Yeshiva when there was time, there was never say that. At any rate, so there, the point is made that Gan Eden Elyon is incomparable to Elam Haba. We see this, for example, here. We see this. The fact is that Adam and Chava were in a physical Gan Eden. For sure, paradise was completely incomparable to the rest of the world, which is why it's called paradise. So just like Begashim is down here, in the Gan Eden Elyon, likewise above, Shemakim and Belam Abriya, Gan Eden is completely higher than the Elam Abriya itself. So therefore, Elam Abriya, which is called the world of the throne, the Kisei HaKoved. What's happening there? So there, as described by the Navi, so the Malachim are bearing aloft the Kisei. So Isa b'Medrash, so on the one hand, is the Kisei HaKoved is there. Yet it says in Medrash al Pasuk, Kilo Yirani Adam v'Chai, no man can see me and live. That even Achayis Hanoises Sakise in Aroises HaKoved, they're in that world, but they don't see really the cover, the pnimius of it. So this indicates the point that he's saying that Gan Eden is a darge in Elam Abriya, in Elam Haba, that it can be in Elam Haba and no shayches to the pnimius, to the covered, in the words of the pasuk here. Ki lo yirani adam v'chai. Because Olam, no matter what level, is hell and v'hester. And so even in that world, there can be in that world a whole truth, and the world is oblivious to it. The pnimius is oblivious. The Gan Eden in Elam Haba is lost on them. So even though, how could they not feel a likus? There's the Keach HaPeil Benifal Hashem's constantly creating. That's true of our world. And it's certainly true of the higher worlds, that it's a constant creation. And the Keach, the Dik is not the constant, but the Keach HaPeil is present. Ad Leilam Abriya, and if you go higher up, as we're talking about Eilam Abriya, where Gan Eden, where the Kisei is, and where Eilam Haba is. So what's that? That's a very high, rarefied world. Shirak miyute Ra. The Ra is very minute, minuscule. Bara in the Me'orev, and it's not mixed with the Tov, so there's a world of clarity. V'yad Shirak Efshori HaMetzias. And Eilam Abriya, we don't say there's actual Metzias existence, like Yitzira. It's Efshori HaMetzias, the potential for Metzias. Very sublime. Become Mokaim, it's still in the Eilam. Either Shaila Bar Atzilus is also called an Olam, at any rate. It's a different kind of Olam. It's still called Olam Abriya, Maloshan Hel, and Vehester. So it's a world where fundamentally a Likus is revealed, notwithstanding the fact that the Likus on some other level is revealed. And again, the Likud is Chetzenius and Pnimius, which you'll soon define not using those words. As we learned in the previous Maimer, that the Lamatzilus, Elav Oleilim B'Doisav, is the Koyach HaGvul in the spheres themselves. That's the pnimius of them. At any rate, you can move on Gamma Maimer Azal. So he just finished saying it's all hell and Vehester. So this understood also from Maimer Azal Medrash. Ma Neshama Mamala, just like the Neshama fills the Machayin and the Meitzes HaGuf, Kach HaKadosh Baruch Mamala Machayis Olam. So too Hashem, this is Mamala Kalamin, fills and enlivens, animates the world. So let's look at this parallel. So the body is alive. Do we feel the neshama? No. Even though it's animating the guf. And I feel the mishu bar seichel. even intellectual marum be'erkoi, and he is relatively exalted. And he understands this truth. That his life is the neshama. He doesn't know anything about the mahus of the neshama. The existence of the neshama he knows and understands that. But to experience the neshama, experiences physical sensations. It's the fact that it exists, this he knows. But what is it to experience ruchnius elikus as the neshama is in the body? Not possible. So likewise, the Eibishter filling the world. Notwithstanding that he fills the world, so we should feel his presence. No, the world conceals him. We know that there's an Eibishter. What is God? To experience God? We can't. That is what the Olam component of the world, including Olam Abriya. Even the Olam Abriya, even the Chayis and the Serafim. But Gan Eden should be Olam Abriya, but in Olam Abriya is Gan Eden. It's a little secret cove. And there they feel the truth. So there in Gan Eden, in that Olam, this is the Pnimius. It's not only Asagas and Metzias, but Gam Asagas and Mahus. But they actually experience Elikus. Not talking about God, but experiencing God. Not experiencing the consequence of his existence. The therefore. And knowing that, therefore, being created in with botlan is the truth. That's all a therefore. But they actually experience the Mahus. That's Gan Eden. And the whole point is going to be that Yofa Shachas B'tshuv Maisim Toivim Mikol Chay Olam Haba, which is what we're describing now, the Pnimius. Continues now, yeah? Speak up, sorry. Yeah, that's Gan Eden. You can explain this right now. Very next thing. Right? Very next thing. So this is the meaning of that in Gan Eden. They have a nom Ziv Ashchina. What's the meaning of Ziv Ashchina? There's illumination. It's not that they know that there is divine emanation. But for them, it's illuminated. They don't just know, it's actually luminous. Macht lichtig. So there the Ziv does its pu'ula and illuminates. And it's experience. Not I know there's light. They're experiencing the light. That's Gan Eden. And still it's not, still incomparable to Yofa Shachas. But it's Gila Likus, it's experience of a Likus. Oyer is not a mirage. Oyer is a Gila Likus. Got further appreciating what Ziv Ashchino means. It says in the Chedesh HaZiv, the Shleima Melech inaugurated the Beis HaMikdash. The Mishnah, the Pasuk gives the year and the month. And why is it called Chedesh HaZiv? It was a Chedesh year. Why is it called Chedesh HaZiv? So whatever the Gemara there says, because from here the others were all born in Nisan. At some point in Nisan. So Chedesh is one of the pshatim in the Rashi there. So Chedesh year is already fully illuminated with their presence. That's why it's called Chedesh HaZiv, because it comes right after the Ovis. So what's the end of Ziv? So what's the avoid of the Ovis? That they were pale, the end of Ziv Ashchina, they experienced Ziv Ashchina. We follow that? Yeah? Even before the office and their avodah, they wish filled and animated the world. The world was in darkness. What's Pulis HaOvis? The union of Ziv, Gilui. Zivisoni Yo'ilam, or Zivsoni Yo'ilam, the rays of the world. Meaning they illuminated the world that people should see the light. In their presence, you saw the light. Move on. But what happened after the didn't last? It lasted only as long as they were emanating it. So that's Gan Eden too. There it's a real Hano. Hano means an epinimius. They're actually experiencing the light. Behind the light, not only knowing that there is light, but they see the truth because it illuminates. That's the epinimius of Elam Haba. And therefore, and here is the difference between Chayes HaKodesh that Kiloi Yerani Odom B'choy. They cannot see it. They're bearing the Kisei HaKoved, and they're right there, but they're oblivious. In contrast to the Neshamas. The Neshamas began Eden Shelem Abriya. Shachayes HaKodesh Einon Rois HaKoved. They do not see the divine glory. Mashen Gan Neshamas began Eden. Neshamas do. Like we said before, that no man can see me, referring to man. When is that we can't see me? That's in the neshamas in a goof, aside from the ovest, with an exception. But the person does see as a neshama after 120. The given shows him tzas on neshama Gan Eden shebelam abriya. Since the neshama now is in Gan Eden, which is where it starts. They see which the Chayes HaKodesh do not see. The whole Nekudah is Pnimius and Chitzonius. Neshamas are from the Pnimius Evelikos. The whole Kavon Eibishter wants his relationship with Neshamas. Different Neshamas are shaykhs to actually feel God. As for the Malachim and everybody else, they're a cast in a play. They're the cast in the whole scenario, and so therefore they're there, but they don't really get it, and the interest is not invested in them. They're playing their role, but they're actors. The Neshamas is not an actor. This whole world is a stage. Who said that? The whole world is a stage. Someone said that. Somebody famous. But the players, not the actors, the real players are neshamas. So lachein hiraya the kivin shaz nimtzas neshama gan neshama abriya. Since the neshamas in Gan Eden avelam abriya, that's pnimius. Eden is pnimius. Tainuk, Debish is Tainuk is neshamas. Lachein hiraya mashachayis hakodesh avelam abriya in the reis. It sees what elam abriya, but then what the chayis hakodesh don't see. And why don't they see? You get better glasses. They can't see because the embassy says his desire is not them. You serve my end. But neshamas is not a means for an end. It's you I want. So this is Gan Eden relative to the world that it is. It's the Pnimius. All of it's that was Gan Eden, including Gan Eden and Mabriya. So all of this was to tell us the greatness of Chaye. That's a remes to the Pnimius. And now concluding, the whole shaila was, so why are we leaving this place? We're in Chaye Lamahaba Pnimius, experiencing the Ziva Shechina, we don't just know that there's light and that's enough. But experiencing it. And on this, this is the answer that greater nonetheless is a moment of tshuva, one moment of iskafia. In this world, with more than the whole chayil mahaba. It's high alelik melam abriya. Not only chitzonius of the Ilamas, but even Pnimius Ilamas, the Mailim Meganedin Shabilam Abriya, it's all greater because Dafkin Ilam Hazeh in a moment of Tshuva Maisim Toiv. To be continued Be'ez Hashem tomorrow.